Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so thankful that you are listening this week to another episode. This is episode 181, and I am just thrilled that you're here. This one was really fun. I got to interview my friend Marjorie, who developed the company called Juunaday, which is all about cute and stylish EMF blocking clothing for women. I feel like, honestly, this has been one of the things that we have really needed in the wellness and biohacking and health space for so long. Like the other options out there are just not really designed for women in mind. They're not designed by women in the first place. And they're just kind of tacky and not really something that I would wear out. Like the clothes that I've had before Juunaday were very like just t-shirts basically, or maybe some underwear that wasn't super great. And now it's exciting to see something like Juunaday come out that is really, really modern. So I have the black play suit. This is basically like a jumper. There's like a bunch of different words for it, but it's like a tank top and it's straight on the chest. And then it's like tight until kind of your hips. And then the pants are like wide leg pants. So they're super, super cute. It hits just above the ankle and it's really comfy as like a nice, beautiful one piece. I love wearing this. I wear it at least once a week and I always get compliments on it every time I wear it just because it's so stylish. And then I get to tell people that it also blocks EMF and radiation, which is really, really cool. So it's nice to wear it at the office. It's nice to wear it when you're traveling, anything like that, just to protect yourself. And they also have a bunch of clothing about or for pregnant women. So there's like a belly band and there's a leotard and there's different options that you can have that can support you while you're pregnant as well. And that is definitely something that I will look at in the future, especially if I choose to travel or do anything that is in kind of these like hot spots with radiation if I'm pregnant, when I'm pregnant one day. So I'm just so happy that this type of company is finally here. It's making biohacking modern, fun, cute, women focused. And if you have listened to this podcast for a while, you know that I have been here for this moment and this movement for so long. Like less about this male dominated industry and more women creating products for women who care about biohacking. And so I'm just happy that she could come on my podcast. I could give her a platform. So enjoy this episode. I hope you get a lot out of it. And seriously, take a look at Juunaday. They just launched this year. Like I'm talking they're brand spanking new. So you know these designs are very 2023. They are not old school. They are not tacky or anything like that. Like she has such an eye for design, which I don't. So I really appreciate it coming from someone who's so in the fashion world and understands it. And her story as well is very inspiring about having her twins and having her babies and everything she kind of went through with that. So this one is for all the girlies out there. I know you're going to love it. And for all the men who are listening, if you care about the health of the women in your lives, you need to get something from Juunaday. You can get the leotard. You can get the jumper, which is what I have. Whatever you want, just make sure you get something and really just support this startup company. And also just support the health of the women in your life. Such a cute gift as well. And I'm super excited to see the other things that they launch later this year. And a shout out to Prolon. I'm really excited about Prolon because they have created different products for when you are fasting that don't actually take you out of a fasting state. So this is the first company I've actually tried that does this type of thing. And actually the first company that I've seen that does this. Essentially, like you can continue fasting, but have a fasting bar or have a fasting shake. And it doesn't have any ingredients in it that will spike your glucose or your ketones or anything like that when you're in the space. So in that state. And I just think that's really important. I love their bars, like their fasting bars. They have 3 different flavors. I got the mixed box. And I think it's a good box to start with, honestly, because you can only order them online. You don't really know, obviously, what it's going to taste like. And you're not going to just buy like one, single bar. I don't even think you can. I think it's only in box form. So I would buy the mixed box, try the flavors and see what you like. That's linked in my show notes and on my website. And a shout out to Bioptimizers. I love their products. I actually just sent my mom a bunch of their magnesium because their magnesium is the best on the market. It has 7 different types of magnesium in it. It is a full spectrum magnesium. And so it covers everything you need. And honestly, I don't think I've had a single magnesium that's not Bioptimizers in like 2 years because I stand by their product that much. And last but not least, I have joined the colostrum train. This is a whole food. And that's really cool because I am all about whole foods, clean foods. And it's nice to take something that's in a powder form, but actually isn't really a supplement because it's a whole food. And so if you don't know what colostrum is, it's actually the first milk that comes from lactating mammals. So we get this when women are breastfeeding. Usually it's in the first few days once they've had their baby. Or we get it from a bovine, which is cows. And so that's what this is made out of. It's made out of bovine colostrum. And so it's a very, very nutrient dense food. There are a bunch of minerals, vitamins, hormones, everything, enzymes, coenzymes, everything in it to support your health. And I like their new product called Performance Revival. And this is one of my favorites to use. It's all about performance, whether mentally or physically, and just helping you reach that next level, which is very biohacky. So I had to get my hands on it. So definitely check these all out. They're on my website, biohackingbrittany.com. Use my discount codes. Enjoy and follow me on Instagram if you haven't yet at biohackingbrittany. That is where I'm most active. And honestly, I'm most active on my Instagram stories above anything else. I post there the most above like Threads. I'm on Threads now. Oh man, I'm on Threads. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, like all these places, TikTok. But Instagram stories, I actually post like, I don't even know, minimum 3 a day. And so it's a very accurate representation of where I stand in my health journey, what I'm going through. I promote other people's work. If they have like cool posts, it's just a healthy biohacky wellness space. So follow me and let me know what you think. And my DMs are always open. And enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you're having a lovely August, and I will catch you next week for another episode. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you so much for listening. I am really, I can't even speak, really excited about this episode. I am talking to my friend Marjorie, and we are talking about her new company called Juunaday. And if you've been following me in the last couple of weeks on social media or listening to my podcast, you have probably heard me already talk about Juunaday because I just think it is so cool. And essentially, she has come out with a line of clothing that is EMF blocking for women. And it really helps women of all shapes and sizes and ages, but there's also a kind of focus on fertility and pregnancy and reproduction, which I love as well. So Marjorie, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany.
Hi, Brittany. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know. I'm so excited. We had the pleasure of meeting each other in June at the Biohacking Conference. And I love that. Like, you were one of my favorite people I actually got to meet because I just feel like we hit it off from the start. And I love what you're doing. And I'm just so grateful that we actually got to meet in June.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It was meant to be.
I know it was. And then you also met my friend Katie, who is like a YouTuber who I also talk about a lot. So it was just such a good female biohacker little meetup that we had.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So let's dive into Juunaday. I want to know everything. What was the inspiration behind starting this line of clothing?
The inspiration was born out of my own health journey. I started in 2015 changing the way I took care of my health. It was shortly after the birth of my twins, and I started developing some autoimmune like symptoms and had a bunch of tests done and really didn't have any answers. So I started my own research and dove into whatever I could find at the time. So I started changing my diet, changing everything I put on my skin, all the cleaning materials in the house, and I came a long way. And I had a pretty good handle on what my body was sensitive to. So when COVID hit in 2020, I was working a corporate job. And so suddenly I found myself at home with a laptop on my lap doing my job from home. And within a couple months, my health just plummeted again. And it was very confusing. I couldn't understand what was happening. And again, I went to the doctor and again, no answers. So again, I just started looking into it myself. And I had remembered back in 2015, it was the first time I'd heard about EMFs and how they are harmful to your health. And so I thought back to that and started looking into that more. And that prompted me to kind of do my own digital detox in a way. I started making these small changes around the house. So, I got the laptop off my lap and started turning the Wi-Fi off at night and putting my cell phone in airplane mode more often and a number of other things. And it didn't take long to realize that that's what was causing my issues. And when I say my issues, I mean my symptoms that I still look back and am surprised at how much they affected me. I was having 40-minute long panic attacks. I couldn't focus long enough at my computer to write an email. I had to keep getting up and walking around. My sleep was a disaster. I was having these really strange pains in my hands and my arms that kind of radiated up my arms. I had tingling in my face. And so it was just really strange, unusual stuff that I hadn't experienced before. And so once I started making all these changes and learning more and more about EMFs and reading the research and books and all the resources that I could get my hands on, I just felt like I had a responsibility to share it because as a parent, I couldn't help but think about all the things I could have done differently. My babies were sleeping in a room with a Wi-Fi router. And to this day, I get emotional about all these little things that I wish I'd known and I would have done differently. So that was really kind of where this all Juunaday began for me. And I have a background in fine arts and design, and that was always something I've been interested in and passionate about. And I just came to a point where I was able to put the pieces together and do something that two things I'm very passionate about. And that's how Juunaday was born.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's so inspirational for people to hear that you kind of had these symptoms and you went on this journey of figuring it out. Like you relied on yourself to figure it out. And I love hearing that. I've done very similar things. And I could only imagine what it would be like to be a mom and have that type of feeling. Or like you said, like have the Wi-Fi router in the baby's room. And that's no fault of your own. Like you didn't know better. And who is out there telling you about that, right? Like,
right. My doctors weren't. They certainly weren't. My OBGYN wasn't. I mean, it wasn't part of the conversation. And I believe it should be. It definitely should be. So that's why I'm grateful that you recognize the importance of it and are talking about it to your community and incorporating it into preconception awareness, what we can be doing from a holistic standpoint to help our bodies be the most healthy we can make it in anticipation of having our children, or even just reproductive health in general. Really, childbirth and pregnancy isn't the only women's health we should be thinking about. I think there are broader implications for women than in addition to conceiving and carrying a child. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Of course. And I think that is really important as well. Like, even if you are not in that stage, or maybe you don't want kids at all, right? Like, which is a lot of women now, it doesn't mean that EMF is not negatively impacting your reproductive organs. And that doesn't mean that you will not potentially deal with the side effects or long-term effects of that one day, right? Whether it's difficulties during menopause or cancer or whatever it might be, like there are a lot of complications that can happen, and EMF is definitely something to consider. And I personally don't take it lightly, but I know a lot of people can just kind of roll their eyes at it almost right now, you know? And I think the reason is because it's really difficult to measure and you can't really see it. So it's not like, say you're low in vitamin D, you get a vitamin D test, you take a vitamin D supplement, or you get in the sun more, and then your vitamin D goes up. It's not as straightforward as that. And because of that, I think there's a lot of like misconception about the real impact it has on our health, although it is getting better. So for those people, like, just quickly going back to like the pregnancy and preconception, what do you think, like, what do you think we should really be doing to optimize during those times? Like, of course, we can wear your clothing every single day. But other than that, what do you have any recommendations for the women listening who are kind of like, okay, I need to watch my EMF right now?
And what you said is so spot on, because not everybody is aware of their sensitivity. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. I'm highly sensitive, but there are people who, have no idea if it's affecting them or not. They may have some not feel great in certain situations, but not understand why. So yes, wearing Juunaday does offer protection in targeted areas. So the clothing is designed for your close contact handheld devices, your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet. What I think is also really important to pay attention to when you're pregnant or trying to conceive is also the ambient EMF exposures. So that is exposure coming from cell towers, Wi-Fi routers, smart home devices, anything that's kind of creating this electromagnetic smog all around you. So there's just a lot of little changes you can make. And also, I think a very important thing to keep in mind is and if you do have a small child, a baby, an infant, to be aware of their exposure too. It's shocking to see so many Wi-Fi enabled baby products on the market. Baby monitors emit a huge amount of EMFs. There are great options now, low EMF options. So it's worth looking into, just paying attention to. Of course, no Wi-Fi routers in the nursery. But also, would be up in the middle of the night breastfeeding and scrolling through my phone right next to the baby's body, head, whatever. I would never do that again. I remember sitting hours on end in the doctor's office waiting for my appointments with my phone on my belly, just scrolling away. Another thing that I wouldn't do, or I would wear protective clothing while doing that. And so just, I think awareness is key. I was shocked when I went through our home with a consumer grade RF meter. So that measures the levels in your home. And I was able to detect on the other side of the wall where my daughter slept. Like, I put the meter on her pillow where she slept and noticed a really high reading on that wall. And on the other side of that wall is a television. And I guess it's an older model. We have an external Roku transmitter that like plugs into the TV and attaches to the TV. And I had the Wi-Fi off because I wanted to measure anything that was happening without the Wi-Fi. And this Roku transmitter was just pumping EMF. The readings were so high. And as soon as I unplugged it, the levels dropped to, a safe range. It was an exponential drop. So there are a lot of little hidden exposures in your house you might not think of. There's so many smart home devices these days that are just surrounding us, just bathing us in these things. So yeah, those are, so yes, awareness, know where your exposures are, and then turn off those devices. Don't use Bluetooth. Turning off the Wi-Fi router at night helps you get into that rest and digest state better.
Yeah, I think those are great tips. And I think that's really helpful. I'm curious, just so I can add this to my show notes, what is the EMF tester that you recommend that we should be using at home to kind of like find the hot spots?
I really like the Safe Living Technologies. It's called the Safe and Sound Pro. You can get it on Amazon. It's easy to use and is reliable. I had an EMF assessment done, and the building biologist used that model in addition to his consumer grade models. So yeah.
I love that. I think that's so smart. I also think it's so smart, like if you can, to get a building biologist. Especially if you are building like a nursery and you're thinking about where does the baby's bed go? Where does the breastfeeding recliner go? Like all of these things. That's definitely something that I would consider doing. I don't know how accessible it would be in Canada. There's got to be somebody who's doing it out here. And again, like it's one of those things that I think it's probably a little bit pricey, but you would kind of do it once for your house and then you would know, I guess, based off of that, you would make changes and then you'd probably be good to go for a while, I would assume.
Correct. And not only was it helpful to understand where our exposures were highest, but I learned so much from him. He helped me understand why our bedroom that's on the second floor and why our kids' rooms on the ground floor have very different readings. And he pointed out that we have a 5G tower at the end of our street. And because we're on the second floor, we have a direct sight line to the tower. So it's directly hitting our second floor as opposed to the ground floor where the signals have to travel through 5 structures before they get to our home and on the ground floor. So our kids' rooms have very low readings, but our room upstairs had really, really high readings. Yeah.
What type of, like, because you're just outside of LA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not outside. We're in LA. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, like, you're obviously in a very dense city, and there's obviously, I'm assuming there's a ton of 5G and radiation and EMF kind of everywhere where you are, alongside like smog and pollution and other things like that, which is difficult. So, I'm wondering, and I don't know like what your husband does and like your other circumstances and stuff, but would you consider moving to more of like a countryside in order to be more grounded and just naturally less exposed to EMF in general?
Currently working on it. Yes. Absolutely. It troubles me. And I actually had dinner with a friend last night who used to live in my neighborhood, and she kept having these feelings of just anxiety about where we lived. And it was kind of beyond just the cost of living, beyond air pollution. There was something that was just telling her she needed to move. And she ended up moving all the way to North Carolina and lives out in the country now. And it was a total reset for her nervous system and just her overall health. And it's yeah, and that's the thing though. It's not a luxury that many people have. And, but it's something that's on my mind. But in the meantime, I try to do as much as I can to limit our exposure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think I'm the same way. I as you know, like we are on this like preconception health journey right now, and we haven't started trying or anything yet. But as we look at buying a house and moving out of our apartments, we have a ground floor apartment right now. A big thing I'm thinking about is like EMF and 5G. And my partner, my husband and I, like we both work from home, so we could really work from anywhere. And it's this question of, do we move to somewhere more remote and have a healthier life naturally and a healthier life for kids, but have like less infrastructure and no less people, and you're basically starting again, and like it's a little bit isolating, but health wise, like I know my body would love it. I know I would feel so calmer, and there'd be no traffic and no pollution. And so it's such a hard, I really struggle with this right now. And I don't know what the solution necessarily is, because yeah, it's just tough. Like part of me is like, yeah, I want to be close to all my friends and be around these great schools and be able to go to a spin class. But then part of me is also like, I don't know, maybe like living by the beach somewhere on a remote Vancouver Island or something is like actually smarter for me long term. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is really.
Yeah, I don't either because I struggle with the exact same feelings. There's a lot that LA does offer and things I really enjoy having nearby, but I'm also to the point where I want, my later years to be full of health. And this is the time in my life where I feel like I'm getting close to a tipping point, and I'm doing what I can. I'm educating myself and doing all of the things that are within my power at the moment where I am, but always with a lifestyle closer to nature on the horizon.
You know that I am a big believer in intermittent fasting, no matter the age, no matter the gender. However, it is trickier for women, mostly because of the impact it has on our hormones and our menstrual cycle. And honestly, a lot of the time, it can just be too stressful for us to be fasting every single day. And it can really cause menstrual irregularities, PMS symptoms, and all sorts of things like that. So I'm really excited to be taking and eating the new intermittent fasting bars made by Prolon. So this is a really cool idea. I have yet to see another company do this, and I've yet to see anybody even execute it somewhat well like Prolon. So based on the science of the Prolon fasting mimicking diet that keeps your body in a fasted state, even though the body is being nourished, the intermittent fasting bar is the first bar scientifically developed and tested to not break your fast. This combination of good fats from nuts and selected macro and micronutrients provides nourishment so you can feel fuller for longer and conquer your cravings while you fast. Eat in the morning after your overnight fasting period to achieve your intermittent fasting goals. Guys, that is amazing. I'm just like so impressed that they even came up with this idea, that these are even effective. And I am obsessed because now I can take and eat one of these bars in the morning, not worry about breaking my fast, not worry about spiking my blood glucose or my ketones, and still be nourishing my body without causing too much stress on it. And you know what? You know, these bars are successful and a hit when they are always sold out on their website. Like I just tried to order more and they were sold out again. So that says a lot about how much people are loving these and really, really enjoying them. Actually, if you go to their website, they have a couple of graphs as well that kind of show what it is, what it looks like glucose wise and ketone wise when you fast with water versus fasting and eating one of these bars in the morning. And there's no difference. So you can go check out the science yourself, go believe it, go read it, and definitely try these out. There's 3 flavors. There's chocolate chip, nuts and honey, and coconut macadamia. I like coconut macadamia the best, but you can definitely buy a variety pack and try them out yourselves. So go to the link to my show notes and on my website, buy Prolon and use my discount code biohackingbrittany in all capitals to save on these bars. You definitely want to use my discount code. These bars are not super cheap, but they are worth it because they are so good for you and they don't cause any hormonal disruption. Yeah, we live a very similar life. Like I think a lot of people who are biohackers or just like, especially women who are just super interested in health in general, I think a lot of people struggle with this of like, how, like, when do I go to the, I don't want to say extreme, but like, at what point do we go live in the countryside? I start a farm, you know what I mean? And just kind of like be able to control my produce so I can grow my own organic lettuce without any pesticides. And when does the benefit of the lack of toxins outweigh being able to go to a spin class down the street with my friends? And again, I don't know what the answer is. I think it's different for everybody. But as the older I get, every year it becomes more pressing and pressing in my mind that I don't know if staying close to the city is the smartest thing for my body and my health and my family anymore.
Right. And I agree, especially when I haven't seen any major regulatory interventions to control a lot of these toxic stressors in our environment, in our food, etc. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I also just think like I was talking to somebody earlier this week and he was saying like some people think biohacking or optimizing your health is so extreme and it's not necessary. But actually, like we live in a more toxic world right now than we ever have before, whether it is EMF irradiation or it is our food quality or it is the air that's polluted with smog and gas from the cars and whatever else. So it's almost like we need these really not serious, but more serious interventions to come in and support us because, like, we don't live in a world like it was 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And I think it's like, I think he said that now babies are being born and they're finding over 400 different toxic chemicals in the, what is it called? Not the flow. Yes.
The cord blood. Yeah. It's just criminal.
It is. It is.
Yeah. And to think that that's how you're starting out and then you're just continuing the exposure. I mean, they're born into environments that are so laden with environmental toxins that their bodies just don't even have the chance to fight it off. This includes EMF, and it's this just layering of stressors. This burden just gets to a point where our bodies just don't have the ability to rest because we're always trying to fight off all of these toxins. And for the answer for some people, they just get to the point where they're so sick that they have no other choice than to move. And I think that's happening more and more. I'm still functional, but if I don't know how much longer it's hard, or just even to enjoy the future, my future ahead, and then my kids. Because you think about so I'm going to age myself here. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was in my early 20s. So if you compare that to babies, children, small children already using devices and already living in homes with Wi-Fi routers that are never shut off and living in homes near 5G towers, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's just, I had a head start in a way because the wireless industry didn't blow up until I was out of college. But so yeah, so that's concerning for me, and that brings me back to children and EMFs, which I'm kind of a stickler about, because and so much so my kids just get so annoyed with me because I like, because they only get devices if we're traveling, and they have to download any shows or movies they want to watch, and any games that they are allowed to play, they have to be played on airplane mode. So I'm the one always checking, are you still in airplane mode? Are you still in airplane mode? Stop it. I'm like, okay, just checking, just making sure.
Oh my gosh. That would be me. Okay. I have no shame. That will 100% be me. Yeah. And I think, like you said about the Head Start thing, is so prevalent, because even think about your mother. When your mother was carrying you in her womb, she wasn't on her phone, on her cell phone by her belly holding you, right? So you really had a significant head start versus nowadays. And so I think about this a lot. And I'm sure you've heard of it. Like, it's called like the bucket theory. And essentially it's like drops of stress into, like, different stressors into this bucket. And it could be anything. Like, could be EMF, could be polluted water, could be just stress from work, relationships, whatever it is. And then you fill up the bucket, and it just takes one drop for it to overflow. And that drop could be anything, right? It could be anything that's like, oh, this is the tipping point. My body can no longer handle how much like chronic stress and inflammation I'm under. And imagine if you're born with all of these chemicals in your blood and EMF, like, how full is your bucket from day one versus how full your bucket was when you were born? It's just not fair.
That's such a great analogy. It's not fair. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be. I agree.
Yeah. I'm curious about like symptoms associated with being sensitive to EMF. So you are sensitive to EMF. Like, what are your symptoms like? And do your kids have any symptoms that you've kind of noticed as well?
I don't really want to speak for my kids, and there's stuff that, of course, is hard to prove. So I'm just going to set that aside. But for myself, yeah, mostly my symptoms are acute. It's the pain and tingling in my hands when I hold my cell phone. It feels like I'm scratching over broken glass when I scroll on my screen. So if I were to wear a smartwatch that's not in airplane mode, then my wrist aches. When I'm in the car and someone is using their phone while we're traveling, my face gets tingly, like my lips get tingly, and I get a weird sensation in my chin. And then sleep disruption. I mean, yeah, I'll just wait because another challenge, it's challenging sometimes to get your partner on board with all the changes. And so he's guilty of waking up in the middle of the night and getting on his phone, and I'll usually wake up from it. Yeah. So they're just, those are the ones now, because I've reduced so many other exposures in our house. Those are the ones that are jumping out at me now these days. But before it was kind of just this constant state of anxiety that I couldn't pinpoint. And yeah, just feeling awful. And flying on planes, traveling, it's tough, it's exhausting, but I think it's always compounded by exposures in hotel rooms, exposures on planes, exposures at airports, that sort of thing.
I have just started taking Armra Colostrum, and I am so excited about it. Colostrum is a whole food. It is not a supplement. It is not something that is, only has one nutrient in it. It is a whole food. This means it has over 200 functional nutrients in it that really support your body. So they just came out with a new product. It's called Performance Revival, and it strengthens your immune fitness, rebuilds the microbiome, and accelerates cellular regeneration by refueling lean muscle and repairing tissue. It instills whole body re-strengthening for your elite health. I am so obsessed with taking this Armra colostrum. I take 2 scoops a day right now, but you can take as much as you want. Again, because it's a whole food, it's not a supplement. There's no chances of you overdosing or anything like that. This really just supports performance and really helps with your gut health. A lot of people swear by colostrum because of all the different benefits in it. And I completely agree with that, especially because it has so many bioactive nutrients in it. So it's chocolate flavored. It's super easy to drink. I just add a scoop to my water, mix it up, have at least 2 a day, and really do feel a difference. As someone who has had a lot of gut health issues over the last 10 years, something like this is really important for me to use. And I love that their new Performance Revival really supports performance and athleticism as well. So it's great for endurance, it's great for stamina, and it really just helps with cellular functioning in general. If you're somebody who really values whole food supplements rather than just taking a single nutrient, Armra Colostrum definitely has to be on your list for that. So check it out. I will link it in my show notes. You can use my discount code biohackingbrittany for 10% off. And I really suggest you start as soon as you can, just to start supporting your health in a very whole and natural way. Yeah, I love that. I think that it's so interesting that you are able to detect it like that, like on your phone or in the car. Like I've never been able to experience that myself, but I still really do worry about EMF, and I do value like reducing it and turning the Wi-Fi off and stuff like that, because I just think it's important. And which is obviously why I love Juunaday, because you provide such a clear solution to reducing it and for me to feel safer. And I just love that. So in the fabric, like when you were choosing and you were designing your different garments that you have, so do you use like a silver fabric in them, or like how does it actually work in terms of like shielding the body?
Yeah, so the EMF shielding fabric is made with pure silver, medical grade, that is incorporated into the designs in a way that doesn't touch the body. Because some of these metallic fabrics don't have the nicest feel to them. So I wanted to make sure that it was comfortable on the body. And the way these fabrics work is they're based on the work of Michael Faraday, the English scientist who discovered the Faraday cage. And that is noticing that the conductivity of a metal cage can stop these electromagnetic fields from traveling through it. So the fabric works the same way. And when the EMF exposure comes in contact with the shielding material, the EMF it's deflected in the opposite direction and then quickly dissipates. And so instead of, passing through the materials on your body and absorbing into your skin, the material is actually deflecting the waves.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, a while ago, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I was looking at developing a line of EMF blocking underwear for women. And I did a bunch of research on it, and yeah, it was going to be a thing. And I spoke to a bunch of like experts, and essentially what they said was like, it doesn't make sense for it to be underwear versus, I guess, like doing a full kind of play suit or jumpsuit like you've created. Because even if you like think about underwear that wraps around like the body, right? Like the EMF can go in many different directions to be able to hit the ovaries and the uterus. It's not just like through the front or through the back. So it really makes sense to have more of a full play suit, full body coverage in order to kind of block the EMF. Have you kind of found that typical thing in your own research and when you have spoken to experts as well?
Yeah. So the difference between Juunaday and some other EMF shielding apparel companies on the brand on the market. So I think what the experts were pointing out is that there's a difference between ambient exposures. So yes, unless you're essentially walking around in a spacesuit, you're going to be exposed to this electromagnetic smog, this ambient EMF that's coming at you from many directions, depending on how many devices, cell towers, etc., are around you. So, yes, if you are standing with your back up against a Wi Fi router and you don't have underwear that have a back to them, an EMF shielding back to them, yes, you could have your body could absorb some of that wireless radiation from behind. While there are some apparel options that do provide that around the body coverage, like a t-shirt or a hat, our garments utilize a shielding, just a planner shield, so that when you are holding your devices in front of the most frequently exposed parts of your body, which is you hold your phone in front of your belly, you put your phone in your pocket, those areas are the areas that are shielding that close contact device radiation. Now, it's not going to, of course, encircle your body and limit all that ambient EMF. It's targeted to this close contact exposure, which for me is what I found is the highest concentration of it and what I'm most sensitive to. And so when I can more often feel that close contact exposure, I know that's the part of my body that I really need to protect. Otherwise, I mean, for me who's sensitive, it's very painful otherwise to hold my cell phone in a pocket that's not shielded. And so, I don't walk around in pain if my Wi-Fi is on. I don't walk around in pain if Alexa is playing music. It's a different level of exposure. And there are charts and there are people who have plotted these different exposure levels. So yeah, so that's the difference. And I think that may be what the conversation you had with the experts may have been discussing, may have been about.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense of like directly on your skin or a wearable or very close to you versus ambient and it's more of around you and like how that impacts you. Yeah, I think that's a really like key distinction there that is really important to talk about. And that's why it's worth getting one of or all of your designs and your clothing because we do keep our phones in our pockets, right? We do work on our laptops from the couch. It's not like it's oh, every now and then I do it. It's like, no, people do this every single day. And I can tell you right now that the moment I'm pregnant, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to your website and I'm buying the belly band and I'm going to wear it every single day.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you can have one in every color.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to have to think about the size I'm going to get because it's going to have to expand with me.
But yeah, and that's what I had. I had the modern connected woman in mind when I designed these garments. I mean, I really thought about where our devices are, how we're using our devices. We're busy, we're on the go, we're working from home, we're just operating with our devices like physically connected to us on a daily basis. And so that was the most important thing to protect or shield our bodies from when I was creating these designs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I like the belly band. I'm just looking at it now on your website. So it's just like a band, right? Like it's not shorts at the bottom, is it?
No. She had
Okay.
it wearing a little bit low, but it's great for wearing underneath dresses, underneath your shirts, because as your belly grows, your pants start to give up a little bit, and your shirts get short and your pants get low, and so you have this gap, and kind of it can cover up the top of your jeans when you can't get that buttoned anymore. You can wear it under leggings or over leggings. You can pretty much wear it under anything because it's a very silky, smooth material, so your clothes don't catch on it like they would, with a more textured fabric. So when you lift your arms up, your dress goes back down. It doesn't stay up. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you also have your legging, which you could just wear by itself, just like as a normal legging. And it is a maternity legging. Again, that's designed to cover your belly. So I think something like that is just so smart, especially like just working from home, just wearing that with a t-shirt every day is like probably what I would just do. Hello, it's Brittany here, and I've got something life-changing to share with you. Sleep is crucial for our productivity, well-being, and beauty, right? No one wants to wake up with dehydration lines and dark circles. That has definitely happened to me. Picture this. You wake up feeling refreshed, your skin is glowing. Yes, get it. And those pesky dehydration lines and dark circles, they're nowhere in sight. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not only possible, but it's also within your reach. I used to struggle with falling asleep. There was a time when getting a good night's sleep felt like chasing unicorns, tossing and turning, waking up multiple times and feeling like a zombie the next day. Seriously, that happened to me for a long time until about 2019, 2020, when I started biohacking my sleep. But then recently it started happening again. And I actually uncovered the ultimate secret that's really been helping me. And that is magnesium breakthrough. It has completely transformed my sleep and got me sleeping so good again. So, what's important to know is that not all magnesium supplements are created equal. So, don't waste your time with over the counter options. Magnesium Breakthrough is the real deal. It combines 7 different forms of magnesium in a single capsule, giving you the full spectrum magnesium experience you need for optimal results. So, here's my nightly routine that I've been doing. I take 2 capsules of Magnesium Breakthrough with water about an hour before bed. The effects are remarkable. I drift off faster and enjoy deeper, more rejuvenating sleep. And then when the morning comes, I wake up feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to conquer the day. And I wake up at 5 a.m., so I'm not messing around, okay? I need my good sleep. So say goodbye to restless nights and tired mornings and unlock your best sleep with Magnesium Breakthrough. Ready for my offer? Visit magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany and enter the code biohackingbrittany for a discount. We love discounts. Remember, this offer is only available on this special website. So if you go to Bioptimizer's normal website, it's not going to happen. It's not there. So don't let sleepless nights hold you back any longer. That's magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany. Use my discount code biohackingbrittany to save. Woo woo. And let me know how your sleep is going.
Yeah. And it's got a shielded pocket too, which I love leggings. I love anything with a pocket. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I have your play suit and I'm obsessed with it because it's so comfortable. And also I get so many compliments on it every single time I wear it because of the design. I just think it's so cute. And I'm curious what products you have coming down the line. Are you going to continue only making for women, or would you ever consider like making baby clothing maybe? Like what do you think is going to be coming?
Not baby clothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, no. I'm going to continue focusing on women. I think that any styles that protect a woman near her reproductive organs. I've been working on a top because I think it's also important, of course, to protect our breast tissue. And it's important to note, do not carry your cell phone in your sports bra, period.
Oh man, I
Never,
know.
ever do it. It's serious. So that's also a very important part of the body to protect. So.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're doing that. I think a sports bra is a really good idea, or maybe just like a bra in general, let's say. Again, because of that reason of like when you're working out, like what happens if you're wearing wireless headphones and they have Bluetooth connection on them, or like your phone. And I used to, like, before I knew better, when however many years ago now, I would put my phone sometimes in my sports bra when I was at the gym, and you
No.
just you just don't know. Like you
Right.
just don't know better. And so now I know better and there's no excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you ever consider creating a line of pajamas for women? Because I would love something that I could sleep in that I know would be like protecting me at the same time.
Well, it's to the point now that I've been asked so many times that I think I absolutely have to.
Okay. Interesting. Wow.
Something that women really want. So I've been thinking about it a lot. The way I'm designing these garments, it's tricky. It's tricky finding the right materials that all work together in a way that looks great, feels great, women want to wear, protects them, all of that. So stay tuned. Maybe so.
I hope so. I hope so. And I think why your like brand is so successful already is because like the garments that you create are so modern. Like when I have been working with other EMF blocking brands before, it is just like, here's this t-shirt.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, oh, cool. Like this could be a man's shirt. Like this is not reflective of 2023. This is not reflective of female fashion. This is not something that I want to wear on like a cute date. No.
Correct. I felt the same way. I was looking for something cute. I was looking for that option and it wasn't out there. I mean, it just wasn't out there. So that's what I was going to make.
I know.
Yeah.
Honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's so interesting that you've had demand for pajamas of all things. Like, and I didn't even have that idea. I had a follower reach out and say, hey, like, do you know of pajamas? Like, sleep is a priority for me. She's actually a sleep coach. And she's like, I really care about EMF when I'm sleeping. I want to be able to block this. And I was like, I don't know any pajamas on the market that do this. But here's Juunaday, and they might have something in the future.
Yeah, it's very possible. I would
Yeah.
love to talk to her though.
Yeah.
Find out what exactly she's looking for. And I'm going to ask you once we're done recording too, what style in particular you would like to sleep in.
Absolutely. Yeah. I will connect you both so that you can pick her brain. What are the other top requests that you get so far from people in terms of designs that they would like to see?
Yeah, pajamas number one, tops number two, and garments outside of athletic wear. So those are the top three. Um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want to make them all.
Yeah.
Give me
Yeah.
time, we'll get there. Yeah.
I mean, I know you have your unitard, which I think is great, which is basically like a tight one piece, I guess, that's like leggings and a top and like a tank top. But I think your play suit, like I don't wear that for exercise or anything. Like I just wear that daily because I just think it's so cute and comfortable.
Yeah, it's such a versatile piece. I
It
mean,
is.
I dress it up. I wear it to dinner. I wear it to lounge around in. I wear it to stretch in at night. I, go casual with just a tiny white tee and sneakers. It's so versatile. I love the place. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Something that you said recently to me on Instagram I thought was so interesting was that you wear one of your garments when you're riding your Peloton because your Peloton is obviously, I have a Peloton too. So it's Wi-Fi and there's a bunch of radiation coming from it. So is it the unitard that you wear for that?
Yes. And I've worn the bodysuit too with leggings over it. Yeah, those are the two best. But, if I had a pregnant belly, I'd definitely be wearing the leggings too, the maternity leggings. And even actually, I have a friend, she's a spin instructor. And when she was pregnant, she wore the belly band and she's like, this thing is a lifesaver. I can't believe I've been doing these classes without it because it gave her just enough support and it covered that gap between her tank top and the bottom of her leggings. So, yeah, a big hit with a spin instructor. So, yeah. Yeah. But that was an interesting discovery too, to see that I can hardwire my Peloton bike. So if you don't know this, it is possible. And then you turn off the Wi-Fi and then, it's as if you've wired your computer or laptop or whatever. So, but if you don't have the ability to do that, yeah, that's when Juunaday is great. And there are other at-home fitness equipment that no doubt, I don't have any others, but no doubt are emitting the EMFs, but could check to see if you can hardwire them too, if that's an option. So, we don't necessarily think about that we could, or yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea that you could hardwire the Peloton. I've paused our subscription right now just for the summer. We're just not using it as much. But in the fall, I will likely look into that because it's actually right next to our Wi-Fi router. And I'm interested in doing that so that.
Yeah, so you ride your bike next to the router, turn off the router and hardwire your Peloton before you do your workouts. Or just wear Juunaday.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Honestly, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty difficult to figure this out when you're in an apartment, right? So like we have a 2-bedroom apartment and for me the priority has been sleep. So if you go to our bedroom, like there's no devices in there. We don't ever bring the phones. There's no TV, there's no laptops, there's nothing. The clocks that we have are like analog clocks that use batteries. There's nothing. I have a salt lamp. It's just very like good. And then our second bedroom, which I'm in right now, is tough because it's our office for 2 people. It has the Wi-Fi router in it. It has the Peloton in it. And I'm like, I don't know where to put my Wi-Fi like in this 1,100 square feet that we have.
Right.
Like,
so there are router cages you can buy. I'm having a hard time remembering which retailer is selling it. And I don't know how much it affects functionality either, but that would be worth looking into. It's pretty much like a Faraday cage for your Wi-Fi router. Yeah, try that. And then, yeah, just if you're not using your Peloton, make sure it's powered off, or if you can, do you have an Ethernet connection in your apartment?
I haven't set it up though. I don't understand that type of stuff a lot. Although that's an excuse, like I could figure it out. So I've thought about like maybe we should hardwire everything.
Yeah, I hardwire everything I can. So my laptop, my computer, our TVs, Peloton, those are the biggies. Yeah, if you have one of those, the outlets where you can connect the Ethernet cable, they sell Ethernet cables that are really, really long. So you can use it for different devices in your office if you want. Yeah.
Right. So does that mean like, so you turn off your Wi-Fi then, and then like your computers are hardwired?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah. So and this is an important thing to know, that when you do hardwire, you connect I'm on my laptop right now. It's connected to an Ethernet cable. You also have to go up to the top and turn off the Wi-Fi on the laptop. Otherwise, yeah, it's an easy to forget step, because otherwise you're still using the Wi-Fi, even though you're connected to with an Ethernet cord. So yeah, so always if you're going to hardwire something, make sure also on the device, the Wi-Fi component is turned off. Yeah. And Bluetooth as well.
Yeah, no, that's really smart. We like our Peloton is always unplugged unless we use it.
Oh,
So it's
good.
completely off. Like I said, we're not even using it this summer right now. So it is completely like zero off. And the Bluetooth is something I'm quite a stickler about. So I use like wired headphones. My keyboard is wired. I have a mouse that uses a battery. And yeah, my Bluetooth is off on my computer because I know how harmful it is. And my husband is tough. Oh, so I finally have gotten him on board with having his headphones plugged in. So no Bluetooth on the headphones, but he uses like Bluetooth keyboard. So it's like wireless and a wireless mouse. And I'm like, dude, like we're slowly working on it, but we also turn our Wi-Fi off at night. So we're getting there.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. As long as, so as long as the headphones or earbuds or whatever are not in use, my husband, he uses the earbuds and he hears about it from me all the time. He's woken up more than once after wearing them, falling asleep with them in his ears with these very strange lumps next to
Whoa.
his ear. Yes. It's like there's no other thing that would cause that. So please don't wear wireless earbuds. Yeah. So it sounds like you do not in your household, but just for anyone listening, if they're having trouble kicking the addiction, like it's
Honestly, I find the headphones is one of the easiest things to start with.
yeah.
I have wired headphones for my iPhone, right?
Oh,
Like,
great. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
So
Mhm.
like when I go for a walk, it's just wired headphones. I download the podcast episode before I go, and then my phone's on airplane mode on my walk in my like little satchel, whatever, on my body. When I do workouts at home, I typically either use wide headphones or I just go outside. I'm doing a lot of outside workouts right now. So I just bring our massive like speaker outside. And that's hard because it is Bluetooth from like the phone to the speaker, I guess. But it's better than me having Bluetooth little headphones in when I'm like doing jumping jacks or something, right? So
Yes. Yeah. And there's the difference. There's your ambient versus your close contact on the body. You know, it's a very, very different exposure intensity. Yeah.
yeah, because I will say, like, there are some workouts where you want wireless, right? If I'm doing like jump squats, like, I couldn't imagine having a wired headphone into a phone and doing that, right? So
Right.
that's why I'll just use the speaker or because I just think, again, like, I think it's better. And then I also feel like when I'm outside, there's some sort of like grounding effect that's happening there that's helping me. This is what I tell myself.
Absolutely. No, there's something to grounding for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think do what you can. It's never going to be super perfect. I think once, like you said earlier, like I think once we buy a house, I think I will bring in a building biologist and then do like a full, this is an investment. Let's hardwire X, Y, and Z rooms for the computers. But while we're in an apartment temporarily, maybe for the next, I don't know, year or less, I'm just kind of like I'm doing the most I can. It's hard.
Well, and that's all you can do. I mean, it's actually worse to stress about it. I mean, and yes, we're talking about some stressful topics, potentially stressful topics, but really, the goal is to just reduce your exposure as much as you can because that makes a difference. It does. So don't stress yourself out about it. That will be more harmful to you than anything. Do what you can and just be aware. And distance is your best defense. So, like you said, the speaker's away from you. That you have distance between it. That's much. That's reducing your exposure quite a bit over any Bluetooth devices that are on your body.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. And I think just educating yourself is, and like you said, distance awareness, like really just working on these things. I try not to think about the fact that I'm in an apartment building and I'm like surrounded by other people who definitely, I don't want to say definitely, but the chance of them being as like woke about this stuff is like not very high right now.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, okay, well, where's the Wi-Fi router in my neighbor's apartment next to me? I don't know.
Don't know. Yep. And that's just stuff you don't have control over. And it's just it is what it is. You can't control the things you can't control, but you can be aware of your environment and do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. I think the solution is just to wear a different Juunaday garment every day
Yeah, of
and
course.
call it a day. Yeah.
Yes. They call it a Juunaday.
Call it a Juunaday. Exactly. That's awesome. Okay. On that note, how can people shop your collection and how can they get in touch with you? Yeah, if they want to connect.
Juunaday.com, at Juunaday on Instagram. DMs are open. Hello@Juunaday is where you can email me directly. And yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone with questions.
Amazing. Yeah. And that's spelled Juunaday. There's two U's in there, Juunaday. And yeah, I will link that in the show notes and on my website for people to find you. Thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. I just loved to be able to connect with you again.
Oh, thank you so much, Brittany. It was so fun talking with you.
Yes. And if anyone wants to use my discount code, if you're going to buy a garment, which I really suggest you do, it is Brittany in all capitals. And again, I'll put that in the show notes so it's super easy for everyone to find. Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.